For quite some time now, driving instructors have been pushed into teaching in a certain direction. It's a direction I've been very open to, and it's a direction I've spent a lot of time on. I've even done a year's course all on the methods of this teaching method. It's called coaching, but that is just a label. In my opinion, a label is just marketing and politics. It's what you do that counts. And what they want us to do is to get the pupil to make more of the decisions. And I'm not talking about whether or not to go at a roundabout. Yes, I agree, the pupil should make those decisions. They should decide when they go. The instructor should stop them if it's not safe, and the instructor should help them judge by telling the pupil what they see. That car's indicating, that car's close to the roundabout, etc., to try and help develop the pupil's own judgment. But it's got to be down to the pupil to make their own decisions, so they're not worried about what the instructor wants them to do. That will lead to a lack of confidence. What will lead to confidence is them going, yes, I think I can go now, so I'm going to go, not, will the instructor want me to go? That's not good. But I think this is way too far. They want us to actually get the pupil to set smart goals, not even us to set smart goals based on our own experience of teaching people to drive and what a good order or a good structure, a good syllabus is for teaching someone. Let's take a look at SMART goals. SMART is an acronym used for setting goals. It stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic or relevant, depending on who you listen to, and timed. Specific is basically trying to make the goal more defined, not just I'm going to get better at driving, but let's say I want to improve roundabouts. Okay, that's more specific. Next thing, measured. How are you going to measure when you've achieved the goal? How are you going to know when you've crossed that finish line? Yes, I've done it. So you have to set something. So let's say something like I can do, or the pupil can do, 5 roundabouts in a row without any help from the driving instructor, and it's safe. That's one way you can measure it. There's other ways you could probably come up with, but that's one way. Next thing, attainable. How are you going to attain it? What do you need? What do you need practice with? Is it lanes? Is it leaving the roundabout, deciding whether or not you should go, turning right? Do you need more knowledge? Do you need more skill? In which case you probably shouldn't be learning that on roundabouts. Skill is something you should learn before you get to a roundabout, in my professional opinion. But that's why I think driving instructors are better at choosing an order than a pupil probably is, because we have experience. By the time you get to roundabouts, you should be able to stop, start, go in a straight line and go around a bend. The next one, realistic or relevant, depending on who you listen to. Realistic is it realistic at this stage? Are you trying to land on the moon, or are you trying to improve your roundabout skills when you've already done quite a few roundabouts, but you're not happy with them yet? Relevant, which I think is the least relevant thing in the SMART goal, because you're going to choose something that's relevant, especially when it comes to driving lessons. You're not going to be like, oh, I want to get better at the hula hoop. No, you're not going to do that. What you're going to choose is going to be driving related, therefore it is going to be relevant to driving. But you need the R there, because a SMAT goal isn't as good as a SMART goal. And then the last one, T, timed. This is the most damaging one of them all. This is my biggest problem with SMART goals. I like having goals, but putting a time limit on it, and even worse than that, even worse, getting the pupil to put a time limit. I could probably have a guess. Based on the people I've taught, I could probably guess roughly, maybe, I probably will be wrong though, how long it's going to take them. But how should they know how long it's going to take them to do something when they've never done it before? They've never learned it before. How do they know how long it's going to take them to learn it? All you're doing is setting a deadline that pressures them to achieve it. It pressures the driving instructor to try and get them to achieve it, which means the driving instructor is more likely to get frustrated and less patient because they're under pressure. And if they don't achieve it, then they've failed. That's it. They failed at their goal. That reduces confidence and that increases anxiety. The best thing a driving instructor can do to help someone is not put them under pressure, but to be with them, help them, without judging them, comparing them to other people, as long as it takes until they get it. Don't get me wrong, I like goals. I have goals myself and I set goals for my pupils, but they're not timed. I don't give them a deadline. They can do it in half an hour, they can do it in a few lessons, but I'm there with them until they achieve it. I set the goal because I see their weaknesses and I know what needs to be improved. I have a structure that I go through because one skill can then help you achieve the next skill, which then will lead on to helping you achieve the next skill. And that's something I've learned over years, which is why I have an order and a syllabus in which I teach. Once I get into the end of that syllabus though, that's when I'm going to be more like, what do you think you're not so good at? What are you least confident with? I'll be asking them that question. Then I'll be getting them to make more decisions on what to practice. And that's where coaching, if you will, I think is more relevant. I don't think it's that relevant for a beginner in a dangerous situation. Doesn't matter if you're coaching tennis from the beginning, because if you hit the ball wherever, it doesn't matter where the ball goes. But when you're driving, you need a professional to keep the car safe. Once you get good at something, that's when the instructor method of teaching, where you're telling people where and when to learn things and do things and how to do things, is less helpful, because now it's about somebody who can already do something, who's already grasped something, honing it, tweaking it, making those small improvements. And that's why SMART goals don't work on driving lessons, in my opinion. It's the time, the deadline. It causes more harm than good. Having a deadline on a goal can be really helpful if it's a motivational issue. Let's say you play guitar. You want to learn something new and you give yourself to the end of the month to learn it. Well, that deadline is going to get you to pick up that guitar and practice. It gives you motivation. But driving lessons don't work like that. Most people have one fixed lesson a week. Quite often they can't afford more, or their driving instructor doesn't have time to do more. If they have the opportunity to have some private practice, that can help. I'll talk about some insurance that can help you with that later. But most of the people I've taught haven't had a car or anyone to practice with. They've literally just learned to drive with me. So that deadline, all it does is increase stress, increase anxiety, and reduce confidence. And that's exactly the opposite of what I'm trying to do as a driving instructor. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to increase confidence and reduce stress and anxiety. This is why SMART goals don't work on my lessons. I am not against the DVSA. I actually think they're doing a good job. They've kept it tight. The theory test is cheaper than it used to be, and the practical driving test hasn't gone up in price in ages. I don't remember the last time that went up in price. And I do think they should check up on driving instructors to make sure they're teaching safely. And I also think we should have our criminal records checked to make sure we're not dangerous to the people we're teaching. But I don't think they should be trying to invent new ways for us to teach, or even telling us how to teach. If a pupil goes with a driving instructor, they're happy with that driving instructor, they recommend that instructor to different people, the instructor is going to be successful. If not, they're not going to be successful. Let the public decide. It's just like a restaurant. A restaurant opens, as long as they reach hygiene standards, whether their business works, whether their food works, well, that's up to the customer. They're either successful, in which case they open more restaurants, or they're not successful, in which case they close. If you like the video, give it a like. If you dislike the video or disagree with me, and I know there are people out there who do, let me know in the comments your thoughts. Are you learning to drive at the moment, or have you learned recently? And did you feel your driving instructor wasn't giving you much direction? They were getting you to set the goals and they were asking you what you wanted to do. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Again, let me know in the comments. Check out Collingwood and Confused in the description. If you're learning to drive and want some private practice, Collingwood allow you to insure yourself on somebody else's car without affecting their policy. At the moment, there's up to 35% off and a £20 Amazon gift card via the link. Check out confused.com if you're insuring your own car. You fill out one quote form, get loads of quotes back so you can compare the different prices, but also you can change the car on that quote as many times as you like to see how much it costs to insure different cars. Using the links doesn't cost you anything, but it does support the channel, so thank you very much. Subscribe to get my future videos, and until the next one, cheerio.